excited is Jamal Shah, who has on Crick Tracker just said, who are these three mother flintoffers?
Ah, are you talking about the people on the screen as in Kuma Sangakkara?
No,
David
because
Boyd?
he's commenting on the Crick Tracker video, which is us.
Jamal, so there you go.
Yeah, well, I did tell you. I hope you were listening, and now you know. Grubby Paul Howard, real Fred Janaway, Gorilla Hundo. It's quite simple.
More during the day. That will be fun. England are 10 for no wicket. They trail by 274. It could have been so different if they'd managed to get rid of Steve Smith. And I think there was that time, wasn't there? Broad, was it, who brought one back into him and he played no shot. Brilliant delivery. We all thought it was out. It was given out. And it turned out to be a smidgen outside.
I must confess, I didn't think it was out. And in fact, I mean, the umps had an absolute shocker yesterday, didn't they? They really did. No one does it on purpose, but they must have got double figures of wrong decisions overturned or given out when it was not out, and vice versa. I don't blame them at all for the Warner one early doors, where you got that tiny little feather through to keep it down the leg side. I mean, I don't think not even Johnny Bairstow was wholly convinced about that one.
Yeah.
But some of the LBWs, the Warner one that was going down that he didn't review. We were talking about this on the way over, Hendo. I think Peak Warner reviews that all day long. So I think what's happened in recent months and what happened perhaps with the reception he got on the way to the crease definitely got into his head, made him even subconsciously think, I must show people that I'm a decent person. So that may be extended to not reviewing that when in the past he definitely would have done. And
I suppose if he'd reviewed it and it had been given out, I suppose he was worried that the booing would be even greater.
But he shouldn't be worrying about that. He's got to take a call. Do I think it's worth a review? And in days gone by, he definitely would have reviewed that, and he would have been proven right. And it didn't look right to me on first view anyway. And there was the other one that was sliding down to the left-hander, broad.
James Pattinson, wasn't it?
Broad round the wicket again on the angle. You think that doesn't quite look right. It's given out, but again they didn't review. So I think the umpires, as much as anyone, are feeling the Ashes pressure.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. But I do think there is some culpability amongst those guys to review if they don't think there's no good coming.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that any of the players have complained. I think it's been more a sort of media Twitter storm, really, hasn't it, about the umpiring?
But it's the non-striker's job, really, isn't it, to give his partner advice. And if that non-striker is Steve Smith, maybe thinking, I might fancy keeping those reviews for me later on. That's part of the game. You're not doing it, then you have to be called out by fools like us who are calling the game.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think Pattinson, he'd only been in for 2 balls, and I guess he was thinking, we've only got one review left. He may have felt the pressure to get out and save that for Steve Smith potentially later. So it's understandable. There are all these things that have to be taken into account. Now, 2 major stories yesterday. Obviously, Steve Smith, which we've covered, and most people have covered in great detail. But the other one, of course, is Jimmy Anderson. What do we make of Jimmy Anderson? He's gone in and he's apologised to his fellow bowlers who had to take on the slack, as it were, didn't they? And maybe that's why England struggled in that final session a little bit, although it did appear to me as if the ball had stopped doing quite as much as it was.
It's all a bit nice, isn't it?
Everyone's been too nice.
Everyone's smiling and happy and hugging, and now Anderson's apologising. Why does he have to apologise? He got an injury. He got an injury that flared up again. He doesn't have to apologise to his teammates, not unless he did it deliberately.
He said, actually, I was in absolute agony before I came in. I thought, sorry, I'll give it another go. I might not get another chance to open an Ashes series.
Does that suggest, and this is the debate on Jimmy, is it just bad luck or did they rush him back? Does that suggest that Jimmy has told a little porky pie and actually he knew he was still not ready, and that's why he feels the need to apologise? Again, a bit like Grubby, I'm picking at these little psychological clues that we're getting already, like what he said about Warner.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, everyone will say that you've got to think of the team, but people are individuals within a team structure, and obviously they have elements of I don't know if selfishness is quite the right word, but everyone has pride in their own performance and wants to do well and wants another chance to get out there and play in this game.
You can convince yourself as well as a player that yes, I'm fully fit now. I mean, again, it's another thing we were speaking about next door. You can't have it both ways. I've seen a couple of luminaries of the game commenting that well, Jimmy should have played last week against Ireland because you need to test whether you're fit in match conditions, not just for net bowling, and I sort of see that. But then you think, well, clearly the England setup didn't feel he was fully fit for that. Didn't want to play him in that game, and he gets worsens the injury. Now, the decision was made that he was fully fit for this game. So is it just unlucky that he's got at least a very similar injury, if not exactly the same one, or perhaps he kidded himself on that he was fully fit when deep down he knew that perhaps he wasn't.
Yeah,
thinking he might get away with it.
Yeah,
I think there is a clue there. It could just be the Ashes pressure that's doing this to people, and it's such a big series at XYZ. But the fact that he felt the need to apologise, like he'd let his team down, that doesn't sound like Jimmy Anderson to me somehow.
No.
Well,
I think it comes from a good place, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
As Fergal Sharkey once said, a good heart these days is hard to find.
Oh, I'd love to bang that on right now, but it's not on the jingles card. I can't find this first hour jingle. I've been searching.
While you're looking, may I just say hi to a few people on Twitter?
Indeed.
While we're just waiting for the players to arrive. Muttley's with us. Woof! Morning,
Woof!
folks. You've got me for an hour before I have to work. Hopefully I'll get back in time for the last hour too. Day off tomorrow, though, so whoop, whoop. Well, good to have you with us, Muttley, and woof back to you. Kunal Talani is involved in quite a lengthy and involved discussion with a few people about, in inverted commas, cheats of the game. So I'm going to leave you guys to that for now, if you don't mind. Linux Leah says, Guten Morgen, Grillas. Let's see if Strayer can roll England by an innings.
Oh,
What?
Gosh.
These are
hang on, so
silly
they're going
ones.
to have to bowl England out for under 84.
Linux Lear also
Not-
says...
not impossible.
No, not impossible. Linux Lear also says, Grubby on tweets, ready the Blitzkrieg of faux Deutsch.
Yes.
Oh, please leave me alone. And our lovely Kiwi Callie is with us. Hello to you. Kia kaha. Says, underwent some light jogging. She's retweeted this article about Jimmy Anderson. Sounds like some kind of torture. About to fall asleep to your dulcet tones. Lovely to have you with us, Kiwi. I'm sorry you're back home and back at work. We loved having you with us during the World Cup. Mog is with us. Peter Pan. That is without doubt the greatest single joke ever told in cricket commentary. Bravo,
think so.
Mr. Henderson.
I think so.
Bravo.
Retweet,
And that's from
retweet.
Mog.
Mog. Oh, Mog. Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, to get praise from that level of jingler is beyond my wildest dreams.
Have they tinkered the bell yet?
Very good. Does that happen here, or is that just at Lords? I think they may just be at Lords, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, they do it at all grounds, actually.
I do?
Even, I'm from around Middlesex, most of them have a bell of some sort that they want you to ring 5 minutes before play. We're actually about 1 minute to play.
Did
And
you
we
find the jingle?
We did. Let's have this quickly.
Let's go for it.
Crucial first hour, yeah, guerrilla cricket. Crucial first hour, this ain't no TMS. Batsmen nervous, bowlers with the tails up. Is it a tornado or a storm in a teacup? Momentum, which way will it swing? Either way, gorillas are gonna bring crucial first hour.
It is a crucial first hour. It's cloudy. It's not gloomy, but there isn't much sunshine. Very little indeed. Patrick Cummins is going to open the bowling. He bowled one over last night, and he's straight back into the attack. He has a jingle that goes like this.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap.
Postman Pat.
Early in the morning,
Terrible
just
pantomime
before
villain.
the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy bat.
Bowls to Burns, who comes forward to a full delivery outside the off stump. He's coming round the wicket, by the way, and that is played to extra cover. Another jingle.
That's happened 3 times in a row now.
I know, and I felt the need to
Yeah.
talk about pantomime villains more. In fact, I'm going to put that out to the Twitter sphere. Which pantomime villain would Rory Burns be? What pantomime villain would Jason Roy be? I think we could go somewhere with this.
Who's the villain in Shrek, the French one?
Oh,
Farquaad.
Farquaad.
Oh,
Yeah,
God, what a great name for a
That's who
villain.
Burns would be. Done. Next one.
Okay.
Move on.
Patrick Cummins again. He's got 3 slips and a gully, and he's in to Burns. And Burns, well, just whips his bat out of the way, but it was I don't know, an unattractive way of doing that that suggested he was going to play the ball. He goes down the wicket and has a little prod at the surface. There is blue sky, I can tell you. There is some blue sky, so it's not all is lost yet. At the other end, of course, there is... Surrey boys are out there. Hopes resting on the Surrey boys.
I'm going to give them both their full jingles because they're medium length. So after this ball, we'll get you the batsman jingles. Hopefully they'll survive.
We also have a mid-wicket, we have a mid-on, we have a mid-off, and we have a long leg. That is the field as Edgbaston begins to fill up. Here comes Patrick Cummins in to Burns, who's confidently forward and playing, as he does so often, towards mid-wicket, and there is no run. This is long.
There is a man, a certain man, a man whose grace and handsome face are known across the land. You know his name. It's Mr. Burns. He loves a smoke, enjoys a joke. Why, he's worth 10 times what he earns.
He's Mr.
I'm
Burns.
Mr. Burns. He's Monty Burns. It's Mr. Burns.
Have the Rolling Stones killed.
In comes Cummins, well forward comes Burns. So another foolish delivery. So it's almost as if Australia are following the template laid down by England yesterday, which was to bowl quite full, see if there's going to be some swing. At the moment, there doesn't seem to be. But we're only, 4 balls into the morning.
It worked for Brits abroad, didn't it?
Indeed. I'm just going to complete that jingle.
I was saying balloons.
I love that bit. Hans Molman getting in on the act at Guerrilla Cricket.
I was going to say that I'm worth 10 times what I earn. I'm just putting that out there. 10 for no wicket to score. We haven't had a run this morning. And we'll come to your tweets at the end of the over. 2 balls to go. And Cummins is in, slips down with hands on their knees. He bowls a little bit of nibble away from Burns, but he plays it confidently enough. Square on the offside. Nathan Lyon is into field, and there is no run.
We've got another batsman at the other end, but I feel like we should wait for him to enter the piece before jingling.
No, that's fair
He's
enough.
just loitering in the wings.
Yeah.
I mean, he could get a diamond duck, and then we just don't hear from him at all.
Well, he can't get a diamond duck because he's already
As
been...
in, for the
Oh,
day.
sorry,
For the day.
That's
day,
not a thing.
diamond duck of the day.
What's that? An emerald duck or something?
No idea.
A
A green duck.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of another gemstone, a
You've just
birthstone.
got it.
Garnet.
I mean, that's offensive enough. To be told you've got a green duck suggests that it hasn't been cooked very well. Cummins then to complete the over. He's in to Burns, and Burns leaves. Back of a length delivery outside the offside through the keeper it goes, and it's 10 for no wickets. Maiden.
Well, Dave Wood is with us, given half a chance. Says, morning, gents. I have the distinct feeling we are #doomed. Come on, buck up, Dave. And Kiwi Callie alerts us to a tremendous pun, which was in The Age, she thinks, which was getting the band back together.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't think it was that great.
Oh,
actually.
I love that.
It was
I
all right.
love that.
I don't think it was as good as mine, to be fair.
I think we need to start this jingle early because I love it
for
so
it.
much, and I will not be singing this time.
Changeley Pattinson, he's on the mend. After back treatment, let's see who it happened. So many games he missed, we almost despaired of seeing you once more unimpaired.
It is James Patterson to open the bowling for the morning. He's going to be bowling to Jason Roy. We'll jingle him up in a little while. What caught my eye last night was how determined and emphatic Roy was in his defensive shots last night. In comes Pattinson to bowl in the first ball of the morning. Offers him one wide of the off stump. Roy restrains himself and lets that pass through.
More of that, please, Jason Roy. A confident
Yes.
lead.
Well, he looked at the ball rather suspiciously as it went through. I think he thought that kept a little bit low. I do.
Okay, well, we've got 3 slip to gully, man at point, that's Nathan Lyon, Matthew Wade at mid-off, unfamiliar position for him, I imagine. Travis Head is at mid-wicket, and then we have another man down at long leg. We're not going to be told who he is. Just by a process of elimination, I'm trying to work it out. Patterson turns at the top of his run, trundles, more than trundles, into Roy, who edges this one and
Lord.
gets away with it as it flies in the gap between third slip and gully. Catchable right, but it's run away to the boundary for 4. Hard hands, he went at that. It wasn't that far away from the third slip, but honestly, what are you doing?
It was a lead
What are you
ball.
doing?
It's a
What are
terrible
you
shot.
doing? It makes me wonder, though, whether Australia will be a little bit annoyed at not being more attacking. England started with 4 slips yesterday and a gully, and if they had had a 4th slip there, that would have been easy meat to gobble up.
I think they'll just be happy that he's wafting it one. Hard hands, like you said.
Yeah, they'll be quite happy about that.
Come on, Roy, just leave another one.
Patterson, when he thinks about having a little flirt at that one as it moves away, seems away from him, but started quite wide.
I'm going to jingle up Jason Roy quickly before he gets out.
Good idea.
Lewis loves you. The clouds part for you. Nothing stands in your way when you're a Roy.
This is James Patterson's first test for about 3.5 years. Last played in Christchurch.
A likeable
New
Aussie.
Zealand.
I like it.
He's a big sledger, apparently.
Is he?
Pattinson in bowls, and again, there's that really emphatic defensive shot to a ball that seems to keep low, and seen off by Jason Roy, who pushes back to the bowler.
That was Harper Peterson in the dressing room.
Oh, yes.
I played that despite the fact it kept really low.
Yeah.
One of those. It really
What
instills
cameras?
people with confidence. Mark has tweeted something to do with that chap Pavel. You might have seen him.
Oh, yes.
And his unusual bowling action, which I've retweeted that if you want to see that. And Spangly Sai says, "Ahoy hoy, no bosses in today, so I'm all ears and ready to forge to a 300-run lead." Hello, Spangly.
In your dreams, outside the off stump, maybe just coming back into him a little bit. It was back of a length and defended off the back foot by Roy in the end, but he does look like he wants to get on with it already. You've got days, Jason. You've got, you can bat for 2 days, put Australia out of the game. Just calm down, man.
Perhaps he doesn't understand. Just doesn't understand. You know how fish only have 3-second memory? What, some people have that, but in the future, like they can't think ahead.
By 3 seconds,
Beyond-
what might
well,
happen in 3 seconds' time?
Well, I'm not saying he's that bad. But
Are you saying he's like Jez from Peep Show?
yeah,
We might die if we don't preserve this chocolate. I've eaten mine. Can I have yours?
Pattinson in again onto the back foot. That was straighter, but good and watchful from Roy, getting right in behind that one.
he has got days, literally.
Yeah, he has. Well, he has got a day and a half, I would say, if he wants it. If he wants it, and if he can avoid getting out.
He's made himself leave a few in that over though.
So just the boundary for that over. So England have advanced this morning to 14 for no wicket. More tweets.
Knuckle is with us. Hello from an airport hotel in Chicago where it's just approaching 5 a.m. waiting for the shuttle bus to the airport so I can get the flight I was meant to be on last night. Sorry for that, Mark.
No, you didn't even take off last night.
But I know he must have. He's
No,
in
he's in
Chicago.
now.
But there must be
that's why it's 5 a.m.
must be a connecting flight.
Yeah.
So wherever
Christ.
he's going in Michigan or somewhere like that, I think.
sounds
I don't feel too sorry for you because you're on holiday, but I hope your travel woes ease up. And Messi Jez is with us. Morning all. It does seem to me that all the well-deserved admiration of Smith's innings has served to distract from the really abysmal performance by the rest of the Australian batsmen.
That's an interesting point. Apart from Peter Siddle. And Travis Head to a certain extent. He batted pretty well, I thought. Cummins will start his third over. He's coming in to bowl to Corey Burns. He's staying round the wicket. Still haven't plugged that gap, but that's beautifully driven through the gap between point and gully, and that has raced away in the boundary for 4 runs. And one thing I will say is that Burns, who's not been in the best of form this year, he looked out of touch against Ireland last week and didn't really seem to quite know what he was doing, but already I would say his footwork, his movement has been quicker and more on the ball, as it were. He's moved now to 8, England to 18 for no wicket.
And sometimes it doesn't take long. He got a good stride in there, as you mentioned, and felt the ball in the middle of the bat, and a few of those, and all of a sudden you're back in nick.
Absolutely. Cummins again into Burns, and Burns, I don't think he was beaten by that one. I think he brought the bat inside the line of it as it did nibble away. So I think a fairly confident shot or non-shot by Rory on that occasion.
Talking of nibbling, Kiwi Cali is suggesting to Knuckle that he seeks out Garrett's popcorn in O'Hare Airport. Highly recommended.
That does sound like the journey from hell. How long did you sit on the runway? For about 2 or 3 hours, wasn't it?
Was that right? Oh, I'd missed that part of the story.
Yeah, no, that was all last night.
Is it wrong that I'm kind of hoping that he gets accidentally flown back to Heathrow?
Yes, it is totally wrong.
Yes.
You are an evil man.
You horrible individual.
There comes a point where more pain just becomes funny.
Cummins into Burns. Burns defends on the front foot. And there's not appreciable swing of any sort. There is a little bit of movement off the pitch, but I haven't seen it swing this morning.
No, true enough.
Let us know if your bags made it, because it sounds like one of those where the bags can make it and you can't, and then there's a big hoo-ha.
Oh.
Do you want to know
The
where
bags admit your
bags
ticket.
end up the most? Yes, exactly. Bags end up the most in the world. Apparently Cairo is where it's the highest probability that if you lose your luggage, it's in Cairo.
Oh, it's an absolute luggage magnet, Cairo.
It's well known, mate.
I've got a beautiful tweet here. Have I got time to do it now?
Uh,
Jabi Simanga says, haha, Gorilla Cricket has got to be the greatest discovery I've made this year.
Oh, that
Oh,
is
shabby.
wonderful.
We love...
he's still averaging up around about 37, scored 600 runs or so.
Cummins full, and he meets this with a full post of bat, drives it into the ground, and it jumps up into the hands of Cummins, and there is no run.
It's a fascinating trigger movement he's got there with his bat, really flapping around.
Well, it's to do with this. It's to do with this dodgy eye situation. I was going to say lazy eye situation. He's got a dominant eye, hasn't he?
Got an eye what go like that.
So he turns his head in a particular way.
I thought
to
everybody
help that left eye, I think, become more dominant. Yeah.
I thought everybody had a dominant eye. It's like being right-handed.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, but maybe there's a sort of difference in measure of that.
Yeah, or maybe he's not binocular, as they say.
Yeah, in comes Cummins, and it's played comfortably into the onside off the back foot by Burns, and that is the end of the over. Dealt with it quite well there, Rory Burns. The score after 5 overs of England's reply is 18 for no wickets.
A cricketing Buddha also giving Nathal some advice. Deep dish pizza pie and bottomless filter coffee, breakfast of champions. Dave Wood says to Messi Jez, there were other batsmen.
Yes.
Jay Grover, poo wee bum. Can I stop being rude now, please? I doubt it. I doubt it.
I think it's just in your DNA, Jay.
Kiwi Cali says, I'm a big fan of most things Chicago, but I could not get excited about deep dish pizza. No, it's terrible. It doesn't even look like pizza. There's a brilliant bit online of one of the New York chat show hosts absolutely slating Chicago deep dish pizza, which is very funny.
The other thing I don't get about some pizza is now that they've put cheese in the crusts. I mean, how much cheese do you need? I mean, I love cheese.
Yeah.
But, I think that's overdoing it a little bit. Pattinson will bowl his third over now. He's coming into Jason Roy. I'm not convinced that Jason Roy can last this over, let alone all day. Pattinson in, bowls to him, and he's forward. Not a massive stride, but it was as confident a shot as we've seen from him this morning. Up to mid-off the ball goes, and there is no run.
Muttley asks us a question, rebooing Pantomime Smith, etc. What are people's thoughts of Root's negative reaction to Australia's attempt at the goodwill pre-match handshake?
Oh, did he not actually handshake in the end?
I'm not sure what happened in the end. I know that he was just a bit perturbed that
It'd become a thing.
Well, and they hadn't been consulted about it,
Yes.
apparently. It was just all of a sudden it appeared on the schedule of the morning's event.
I can understand why Root was annoyed about that, and it felt like a mini victory for the Aussies.
Yeah, I would just say that the gully has now come into fourth slip, so we've got 4 slips, no gully. This is defended rather uncomfortably. Almost, he's sticking his arse out a lot, Roy, as he plays these defensive shots. There's almost a kind of discomfort, a sort of constipation.
Yeah, I would like to see a
defence.
I'd like to see a split screen of him batting here and him batting in one-day mode, because it looks like he's making a real concerted effort to bat slightly lower. His backlift is a bit lower. His stance, as you say, he's sticking his arse out a bit more. I think he's just trying to get it within himself.
Yeah, I think he's almost trying to show, look, I can do this, I can defend. Pattinson wide of the off stump, is left alone wisely by Jason Roy.
Spinner Grace is tempted to give a mix of real and fake Swedish to deal with. This is in response to Linux Lear talking about German.
Oh, right.
But fortunately for us, I suspect, Spinner Grace is otherwise occupied for a while. But you're still listening, which is nice.
Let's see, talking of Swedish, Busfield. Our man Busfield is in Sweden at the moment. He's been in Denmark and now he's in Sweden.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've just seen his holiday snaps on Facebook.
It's not going to a weird, sex
Midsummer
cult festival.
I don't know, maybe he's...
Haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't.
The trailer was enough somehow.
I don't really like to go to the movies so much these days. It's too expensive. In comes Pattinson's find the edge again, but softer hands and played low, as you said. Played really low by Roy, and it falls well short of the first slip.
I think he is playing within himself, like you said, Grubbs. But also the pitch yesterday was a bit slow in places. It did keep low quite a lot.
There were a few.
We haven't seen anything burst the top or rise dramatically, so it might be just a kind of medium to slow paced pitch as well.
Yeah, a little bit that. There isn't really much swing. I don't think there's nothing like the swing that England were getting yesterday. There is, I say, still something in the pitch itself.
And it's a similar sort of day, isn't it? So
Yep.
you might expect a little bit of movement through the air.
Pattinson in again, bowls to Roy. He's hit high up on the thigh pad. Again, looking uncomfortable, maybe feeling as if the ball just came back into him slightly. Tucked him up for a room. Ball drops out to the outside, there is no run.
Right in the large intestine. Would have solved the constipation issue.
get things moving.
Blue String Parks is with us. Morning, morning, morning all. Says, I fully expect to have a full day at work and home round tea to see us still batting with the loss of just 5. Perhaps, maybe, probably not.
We were getting a bit of criticism on email yesterday for being unkind to Steve Smith and not appreciating him. But as I pointed out to the emailer, now there is a rather ugly shot played by Roy. He was trying to drive it on the up. Not the wisest thing to do at this stage, I wouldn't say. Got a really big, thick inside edge, and it ended up going to mid-on. And he was a little bit perturbed with himself there. End of the over, and Maiden, England 18 for no wickets.
More of your tweets. Rob T. Wilkinson says, most important session of the Test match. Indeed. Linux Lear says, death, taxes, Jason Roy in a Test playing like it's an ODI. Well, he's doing his best not to, I'd say, Leah, so keep watching, keep listening. Oh, here we go. And then she goes, du prata svenska, in response to Spinner Grace's Swedish threats. Derek Willis says, good morning, waiting for the sun to rise at the beach on the North Carolina coast. That sounds delightful. Not jealous at all, you bastard. Evil Scooter says, evening all. Don't have anything even remotely interesting to say.
Oh, well evening all is pretty interesting.
Thanks for that.
At least we know what time zone they're in.
Give it time, Scotus, patience.
And perhaps a dash of alcohol to speed you along. Chris Paul, saved with the Bush Hospital, says, morning, had to follow the game on the ICC Google app yesterday. But more of that later, no doubt.
It hasn't really been revealed in its fullness. Cummins is over the wicket to Burns now, and he plays a lovely flip off his leg.
Batsman can put those away, and he really has done so. Yeah, switching to over the wicket. He's bowled him from round the wicket for a couple of overs. Just fancied a change of angle. But not if you pitch it there.
Some sort of Test typeface showdown.
What were we talking about yesterday? The numbers, the typefaces on the numbers and names of the back of shirts. Yeah.
Well,
Cummins into Burns, who seems to me to have a lot more time behind that, and that may have something to do with the pace of the pitch. He plays this to backward point. There is no run.
Linux Lear again says, some people look very cool and stylish with a beard.